following program is intended for mature audiences.
You're listening to Basically a Sports Show.
Follow us on Twitter at Basically Sports.
Subscribe to our podcast on iTunes.
And download every episode and more at basicallyasportshow.com.
Now here's your hosts, Zach,
Greg,
Mike.
And this is Andy, and you're listening to Basically a Sports Show.
I would like to talk about how AEG is determined to, if they can't have a football team in Los Angeles, then nobody can.
What?
AEG.
What are they? What's the story here?
Well,
I've been out of commission. I had the plague for 2 weeks, so I'm kind of behind on things here.
So what ended up? Okay, so first they got a former FBI director to write a memo about how Stan Kroenke's proposed NFL stadium in Inglewood for the Rams would be a terrorist threat because it would be close to LAX, and if a terrorist hijacked a plane, he could fly it into the stadium.
Okay.
And then they sicked their lawyers on the city of Carson, which is where that Raiders Chargers team up for a stadium is taking place.
Well, back up a second. On the terrorist thing, Boston's not exactly close to the World Trade Center, so that doesn't seem to be an issue to me.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Boston, World Trade Center?
Yeah, Boston's where the one of the planes took off from that flew into the World Trade Center.
No, exactly. Well, yeah.
Yeah, right.
Yes, it did.
But
so being close to LAX, I would think that's actually maybe an advantage.
Well, yeah, and the thing was kind of overblown too because as the renderings came out today for the Inglewood Stadium, they're building it into the ground. Like the only thing that's going to be above ground is the upper deck, and they did that on purpose so that they could fall within the regulations. So.
Kind of like Michigan Stadium, where if you walk up to it, it looks like it's just like a grandstand at a fair. And then you look down inside, and it's this monstrosity of a bowl inside.
It's the same thing with the Rose Bowl too.
Yeah,
it's built the same way. So yeah.
So just to be clear, did you guys not record the show this week or something? And this is what it is. You're recording.
Yeah, no, we didn't.
No,
we didn't record the show on Thursday. No.
Oh, okay then. Sorry about that. I thought you were just kind of sitting around bullshit, which I guess is pretty much all it is. I mean, in the most part.
Well, yeah. I mean, there's no point in us doing it twice.
Sure. Okay. Oh well. So last week you guys actually recorded the whole thing on Sunday.
No, last week we did. Last week was just
Last week was only tournament of victory stuff.
We
spent the whole show on that.
Okay.
So we didn't do any sports stuff last week.
Right.
Okay.
And then instead of putting out a sports show and a tournament show.
Right. Okay. I get you. Well, no, I'm caught unawares here. I don't have any sporting
it's
things.
Okay. Just
Me either.
Opinions. We have stuff. Don't worry about it.
Okay. I say this is Greg. This affects you, I guess. Your opinion, I guess. So for years now, as you guys probably know, I'm not really big on baseball.
Right.
At least I haven't been. But shocking that when the Cubs actually do stuff, I want to watch baseball.
Oh,
so,
when the local team is good, they get your attention.
No, I mean, like they've had my attention, but it's just like I kind of have been under the, they've not fooled anyone for the last few years with their, kind of just being whatever they are, and they were young for a while and they still are and everything, but I just am more interested now that they made a big splash with Lester and there's things actually happening. The young guys are coming up real quick. So they're good. There's a lot of excitement about watching them, win or lose, still this year. But they're expected to be a little bit more competitive, and that's say what you will about front runners. Now I know this is a delicate thing because front runners piss me off, but
No, but see, you're not coming here going, hey, I used to be a White Sox fan, but now that the Cubs look good, I'm going to be a Cubs fan. That's a front runner.
Right.
You're just a guy like me. Like I have talked about how I'm done with the Browns, this and that and the other thing, but we all know that if they get good again, I'll be right back on board. That's the same thing. You're doing the same thing that I do. It's just like you get to the point, I imagine, with the Cubs where you're just like, screw this, I'm not wasting any more effort on it. But now that they seem to be kind of putting it together, sure. I think it's perfectly legitimate.
It's not like I'm not, it's not like I've been like, I'm not going to blah, 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 this or that. It's just more like, the baseball season is so long. And I mean, again, it's just one of those things where, certain teams in this case, I feel like the Cubs are their heritage team. It's always the baseball is better when they're good, in my opinion. Not just as a completely biased Cub fan, but I feel like it's interesting when a team that routinely loses, like the Cubs, shows up and makes things exciting. It was kind of like with the Royals last year,
or the Red Sox back a couple of times there.
Well, back before they became
the new Yankees.
The new,
but in 2004, I mean, that was a really cool story for people, for baseball. Because,
absolutely, it was captivating.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Well, I remember back in 2003, back when it was when the Cubs were making their run against the Marlins, and they fell short. But that was also the year that the Red Sox fell short against the Yankees in that Game 7. And the prospect of, like, a Red Sox when they were still losers versus Cubs World Series, that would have been amazing.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
And, we got Yankees Marlins in, like, the series that no one gave a crap about, but oh well.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I'm just excited. It's also that time of year where, for months now we've been watching indoor basketball and indoor hockey and cold football, and now baseball is going to be green and lush and outdoors, and it'll herald the spring season.
Yeah,
and it's just for, huh?
Yeah, all that.
Oh yeah, it's for the first few weeks of baseball season. I usually watch a lot of games just to kind of be like, feels good.
And for those of us that aren't in California, Zach, it kind of works that way.
Sure.
It was 90 degrees last week, man. It sucked.
Oh, you know what?
Now,
you were saying, Mike?
Well, well, that was just outrage at no, but I find myself kind of in the same boat that Andy does. Like I watch a lot of baseball right off the bat, and then after maybe like 2 weeks, I'm kind of out of it again until mid-July. And then I remember it again for a couple weeks, and then I forget about it till the end of the regular season, and then I'm pretty much hooked until the end of the playoffs.
Well, sure. You could say that for a lot of different sports. I mean, depending on how things go. Like, with the Bears this year, they were so fucking terrible that, I kind of just endured them every Sunday, but all of their football meant nothing to me. I just kind of fringe watch it just because the Bears would sap my soul for 3 hours every Sunday, raping me with their awful play. But, again, it's the same thing with hockey. I do this with hockey a lot because I feel like the early months of hockey just they're not very exciting. And, I mean, they are at first, but then kind of they get into the doldrums. And
once you get by mid-November, it's like, who cares?
Right.
But by late February, March, I just go balls out. I've been watching a ton of hockey and getting really into it. Obviously, it's the playoff push, so it's way more exciting post All-Star game. Call me a Batman or whatever. That's the sort of when I engage hockey mode.
Mm-hmm. And, you're coming up at the end of February. The playoffs are starting to come into focus.
Right.
Well, I mean, it's the same way that I feel about baseball because it's like I cannot give baseball any attention really until hockey's over. And even if the Ducks go out of it, I still pay so much attention to the playoffs. And like I cannot sit through the first few months of baseball season because like I know there's 180 more of these things.
Oh, I mean, God, I'm a huge baseball fan. And I don't sit and watch. I'm like everybody else, way into it the first week or two, and then it just kind of you drop in here and there and throughout. But yeah, you can't. Right. God, you couldn't. Especially with the way games are these days, as slow and as boring as they are, I don't know how anybody could sit through and watch that shit every day.
Well,
I'm serious.
They're going to be getting a little better with the rules. Anyway.
I hope.
It's interesting.
But they're going to shave 5 minutes off of every game.
I mean, this
isn't going to be a big change.
I don't think anybody
cut like 3 innings off of baseball games.
Nobody cares. I don't think it's the length of the game that bothers people. It's the lack of anything happening.
It's the
exactly.
Pace.
It's not like the games are extended due to exciting play or legitimate pitching duels. It's just guys
around.
Like scratching his balls before he decides he wants to get into the batter's
adjusting
box.
your batting gloves, stepping out of the box after every pitch for 30 seconds. That's the shit that's killing the game.
And that's what's being changed, though. I mean, that's what they want comprehensively. Have they officially made those the rules now?
I've heard talk. I've heard talk that they're going to quote unquote they're going to make the umps enforce it, but I've heard that shit before.
Well, I thought they've been doing it this whole spring training because I've seen a lot of videos of players like freaking out because the umpires been like, get your ass back in the box, and they have to like jump back into the box or else this counts as a strike, right? they get penalized if they.
Well, here's like I was watching. I found this guy on YouTube that has like just all these games from back in the 70s and the 80s, and I decided to take a look. And I thought I'm going to watch one of these games, and like a 9-8 game would take 2 hours and 20 minutes to play because there wasn't any of this bullshit going on. So there was a lot of runs scored, a lot of pitches, the whole bit. But the guy, the pitcher would pitch, the guy would stay in the box, you get the ball back, they get the sign throw again, and it wasn't any of this nonsense. So now a 2-1 game takes 3.5 fucking hours, and it's not because it's a great pitcher's duel and all this stuff's happening. It's because people are just standing around all the time.
And it's one of those things where you really don't even need to introduce new rules. The rules are there to be; they just need to be enforced to speed things up.
I mean, it's gotten so ridiculous.
But even then, Greg, back like those games you were watching back then, they probably said the same stuff. They're probably like, "Well, this game used to play a 20-19 game in half an hour," because you had a pitcher. Well, every day pitchers would throw, 12 innings and 300 pitches, and guy would be dead, so they have to wheel him off the field, and
No, it was pretty much. I mean, this new like slow pace is kind of a fairly historically recent development. I think it started maybe back in the late 90s, where things just slowed to a crawl like this. But it's excruciating to watch. I mean, I love baseball; it's my favorite sport. I can't stand watching this shit anymore. It's just gotten so ridiculous.
I think part of it is that it's as each generation of players comes up, there's little mundane changes. And the generation of players that's come up in the last 10 years, they grew up with tons and tons of equipment. Mm-hmm. And I feel like they put these little league kids in all this bullshit gear that and they get used to every at bat. They get their little, baseball is a very meticulous as far as each bat they have their, what's the word I'm looking for? Like a spiritual kind of a thing, like a good luck kind of deal where they say, I have to adjust my wristband 3 times and do this and that and this and that. And I feel like.
Damn millennials.
Exactly. They need to grab the brass ring. They were there, and these kids, they get used to having 30 seconds between pitches to adjust all their shit.
Right.
And by the time the few elite become professional players, that's just what they're used to keep, to get their numbers up. They're like, well, I can't hit the ball unless I, massage my leg 5 times and move my, strap around my ankle here and all this stuff. And it's like, no, they need to get some of the, again, like you said, the rules are there to be enforced, but it needs to go down all the way to the lower levels. It's just like the tackling with football stuff. It's a problem.
And fighting with hockey.
With hockey, yes. It's at the lowest levels. It needs to be changed. Exactly.
Yeah, because baseball's gone from a sport to basically 3.5 hours of watching people's OCD present itself
right
on the diamond. I mean, that's really what it is, but... It's just anyway, but to your Cubs, a lot of people are thinking that they're a dark horse to win the World Series this year. So that it's got to be kind of exciting, I would think.
Come on, I mean,
Well, I don't think they're quite there yet. I think they're going to be a very young and very fun to watch, exciting team when things are actually happening.
It just seems like they're moving in the right direction, though, for the first time in a while. Like someone is actually giving a shit.
Well, it's bizarre. I mean, they've been competent for a while. Basically ever since Epstein came and the new ownership group came in.
Yeah.
And it's just taken a long time it's hard for fans because a lot of fans, especially the dumb ones, are just markedly impatient and they expect instant turnaround. So when the new ownership comes into Chicago and buys the Cubs and they get Epstein and they have to redo the farm system, and to redo the farm system quickly and properly, you need to lose bad.
Yeah.
And you need to trade away a lot of players. And fans, even though there's a good amount of baseball savvy, patient, knowledgeable fans in Chicago, like anywhere else, there's mountains of morons. And I'm like, well, they traded Alfonso Soriano. He was a good home run hitter. I liked him. And it's just piles and piles of that kind of stupidity. But now that things are finally getting exciting again, it is cool. As far as the World Series, no.
I think they're probably at
playoffs,
at least a year away from being a legitimate World Series contender. I'd say more like 2 years probably before things really finally come all together and they're that good. But they're going to be a lot better this year. That's certain.
Yeah, they'll get in the wild card. I think they'll push for the wild card. I can't count on them to win the division, especially with the Central is pretty loaded. Even and I want to put the Pirates up there at the top, and the Cardinals are just always the Cardinals, but the Reds aren't supposed to be too bad, I wouldn't think. I don't know. It's
I think even the Astros are going. Oh no, they're in the American League now, aren't they?
Astros, yes, they might moved over. The Astros are currently cubbing. They're kind of getting their cubbing going, but again, baseball is, again, like you said, it's kind of like golf or NASCAR for a lot of the season, where you kind of turn it on, watch the first inning, fall asleep, and then naturally wake up around the 6th or 7th and finish the game, if even,
Yeah.
It's a nap time activity during the day anyway, I feel. But
yeah.
No. But, I mean, and again, this whole culture shock thing of competence is affecting Chicago. Honest to God, because the Bears finally also have a new GM, an actual
Hope?
head. What?
They have hope?
No.
Oh, okay.
Not yet. I mean, they're not there yet. I think it's just like you've actually got a head coach that is actually a head coach. You have a general manager that appears for all intents and purposes to be extremely well received.
Who did they hire as head coach?
John Fox.
Oh, that's right. Okay, yeah. All right.
And compared to Mark Trestman. And honestly,
come on, Mark Trestman.
Mike, I swear to God, don't you say one word to defend that stupid son of a bitch. Because in 15 or 20 years, there will be an ESPN 30 for 30 about this I'm swear to God, there's going to be an ESPN 30 for 30 about this year's Bears season.
Wasn't he afraid to face the team head to head, face to face?
He
hid behind a wall or something.
No. I didn't hear anything about that. But just there was a lot of stuff happening underneath the surface about Trestman he didn't know what he was doing, and you had the offensive coordinator throw Cutler under the bus to an NFL Network reporter in midseason. Then during a team meeting, he gets together in front of the entire team, admits that he sold out Cutler to Ian Rappaport, starts crying, and everyone's sort of just like, what the fuck is this guy doing? And then, of course, then you have the apathetic Cutler who does not give a fuck about anything. And Lance Briggs, and there's a lot of people who are very devoted to Lovie Smith, and they still were when Trestman was hired. It's a lot of political nasty shit, but it's hilarious because the end result was the Packers being up 49-0 at halftime or whatever it was, in one of the greatest football games of all time. But weirdly enough, on the topic of Chicago, the draft will be held in Chicago this year, and it's going to be a little weird because I'm already reading a bunch of stuff about how a lot of prospects aren't going to show up.
Really?
Yeah, Jameis Winston.
Probably not going to go. Yeah, he
Why
wants
not?
to be at home with his family.
Oh, that's fair, I guess.
And because some people are saying that it's losing its luster because it's not in New York. It's not at Radio City Music Hall. It's
then they need to get. They and the city of New York probably needs to get over themselves.
I don't know. I think there's something to that. Not to knock Chicago or anything, but I think that people just get used to things being a certain way. The draft is in New York at Radio City Music Hall, and I think that once people see it's going to be in Chicago and be just fine, they'll be okay with moving it. But right now, it's just one of those. People like things the way they like things, and this is different, so they're going to have problems with it.
This is sort of the draft has reached, I think, sort of an impasse. It's got a lot of problems with it. First of all, this is going to happen more and more where prospects are going to be, for as cool as it is to go up and meet the commissioner. Number one, the commissioner is a piece of shit, and just by mere association, you're not going to want to be associated with him.
You don't want to touch Roger Goodell.
Second of all, if you don't get drafted, your ass is going to be on TV for hours.
Yeah.
And it's really uncomfortable. It's embarrassing. I don't think a lot of players, a lot of them want to deal with that crap. And it's cool.
But somebody like Winston, he knows he's going to be picked number one.
Sure, and he's kind of besides the point. But I mean, even last year, there's plenty of guys who just aren't going to show up, and I don't blame him for it. I wouldn't.
Well, do you think with Winston though? Do you think that maybe some of his off the field troubles might be part of the reason why he doesn't want to be there? Because
maybe he stole some crab legs from some Chicago grocery store years ago, and there's still a warrant out for him in the state of Illinois. I don't know.
I still can't believe Tampa Bay is going to take him first.
Well, that organization seems to be run by idiots. So
it's run by Lovie Smith. So beginning and end of conversation, and there's a lot of really uncomfortable conversation going on that I'm hearing about this that nobody really wants to talk about because it's a very uncomfortable issue of. Okay, so you have Jameis Winston, and I don't want to even bring this up too much because it's not really my place to do so. But so Jameis Winston is going to go to the Bucs. The reason they're so comfortable taking him is because they have this black father figure, very religious. Lovie Smith will guide him like some sort of a leader and fatherly figure and change his ways. And I feel like that's a very weird undercurrent to that conversation that people are using as logic in them taking him. But you know what? It would make me smile so big is if he, number one pick, Jameis Winston to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and he goes up there, shakes Goodell's hand, and then yells, "Fuck her right in the pussy," while he's holding up the Bucs jersey, and just the whole shit melts. Mm-hmm. So, and again. It's a little weird, and Jameis is besides the point. I mean, but again, what's bizarre, and now I'm reading stuff, everyone's talking about Marcus Mariota. Where's Mariota going to go? Who will take him?
I hope it's not Philadelphia.
He's not going to get that far, I don't think.
No, he's not.
And I'm reading stuff that the fucking Jets are going to try and trade for Phillip Rivers or Drew Brees. Because
I don't think that's a bad move on their part, honestly.
I mean, they're looking to, I guess, there's a lot of teams that want Mariota, and the Saints are in full-on fire sale. They're going full Marlins.
Well, yeah, when they lost Jimmy Graham, I mean, that, and they weren't that good to begin with, so yeah. But
I just don't see the Chargers willingly giving up Rivers. Like, there's no one else the Chargers have at that, I don't know. They're just not. There's no one else in the system that they can go to. Not even just sort of adequately waste a season as they get their shit together.
You got to think about it this way too. The Chargers are possibly going to go to Los Angeles, and I've read that Phillip Rivers does not want to go there. And again, that's all smokescreen shit. And if any team's going to move there, it'd be the freaking Rams.
Well, the Rams are Kroenke's practically out the door at this point.
The Rams have to show up because Zach's got plans for this. It's got to happen.
Yeah, I've blocked out my time.
Right, and he's going to buy stuff. He's got merchandise he's going to buy.
Yeah, man.
Jack Youngblood.
Yeah, he's going to get his Jack Youngblood jersey, and I've got to find my blue and white jersey. It's got to be the Rams. The Chargers go, it fucks everything up.
Again, I don't know. I'm not on the inside of that at all. I'm just sort of reading the shit that gets thrown around Twitter.
Yeah, no, the Chargers are not going to come here. The reason that the Chargers and Raiders did what they did with Carson was to scare
Oakland and
San Diego into
and it seems to be working because both cities are now like, we've got proposals.
Whereas St. Louis, it was like Kroenke bought the land, he signed all the agreements, he drew up the plans, and St. Louis is still kind of like, huh? What?
We've got a stadium too, maybe.
Oh, yeah. Now, once he finally announced that they were going to build a stadium, when he bought the land, St. Louis didn't do anything. When he, signed up with the company, they didn't really do anything. It wasn't until they announced that they were going to have a stadium that St. Louis was like, you're actually gonna, shit. Here's a stadium plan.
With money we don't have on land we don't own.
St. Louis will not keep. Okay, so Sam Bradford did a fine job of hurling St. Louis as a football town under the bus.
I missed that. What did he say?
He basically said it's nice to be in a city where people care, and he, more or less. I don't mean to put words in his mouth, but that's basically what he said. He implied that I think he said it was nice to be on a team that has a plan or something like that. It was and that they has so much. He's kissing the fans' ass while at the same time saying "fuck St. Louis." And St. Louis, they've actually got a pretty cool looking team coming up. Their defense could be just beastly, but at the same time, there's no franchise in bigger need of just overall change as far as where they're going, what they're doing, where they're playing than the St. Louis Rams. Because, they're still wearing, this is just coming from a lowest perspective, they're still wearing these awful, outdated, ugly uniforms that are just reeking of 2004.
Yeah, they last looked cool like, I don't know, 2002 when people were still remembering the millennium.
And I mean, look at the, they go to those throwbacks and they look fucking awesome. They look so good in those throwbacks.
Mm-hmm.
No, I mean,
You know what?
We're one throwback further back, and now we're talking.
Like to where you want straight up blue and white.
I want straight up blue and white. Yes.
No, can't do it. I need some color. I need some yellow.
Blue and white are colors?
Yeah. I mean, imagine, Jesus.
White is actually the absence of color.
Whatever.
Incorrect. White is all of the colors.
Correct.
Black is the absence of color.
Oh, well, this is
Now,
why I failed third grade art. But
What's the problem? The further problem with the Rams, as far as their look goes, is that they used to at least wear the gold pants. Now they never wear the gold pants anymore, ever. They always wear those horrible blue jeans, and they look like total, just total,
Those are
just
garbage,
goofs. They look like balls.
But what would be the perfect time to switch to those throwbacks? When they move to Los Angeles.
Oh yeah, and that's when they do it, and they should move. Just for just to spite St. Louis also would be great. Just to be, no, honest to God, they'd be like, hey, they could give a lot of other cities shit. Oh, we love baseball. It's like, yeah, you guys fucking hate football, the most popular sport in the world. And your stupid city couldn't keep a successful team going.
You and your fucking Bosnians.
Bosnians.
You did. Oh, you missed
He
that.
wasn't here for that
You're
part.
unaware of the Bosnians?
No.
The mayor of St. Louis responded to criticisms that the city isn't ethnically diverse enough by bragging about how St. Louis is home to a bunch of Bosnian expats.
I read this. Yeah, that was last year's playoffs, right?
Yeah, during the Cardinal.
And where the anti-Cardinal fan thing kind of blew up, and so everybody felt the obligation to address it, including their stupid mayor.
Yeah.
That was fantastic. I do enjoy when those dopes look as they are, look foolish in front of the whole nation. So that was very pleasing.
So
to me.
I mean, that is something we need to consider, though. If the Rams leave, I mean, who will the nation of Bosnia root for in the NFL?
The Giants.
That's perfect.
Let's get off a sport that isn't playing right now for a minute.
Okay.
Yeah, I want to talk about.
The football is all year, all the time, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Football.
Like at 7:30 tonight, I'm going to be watching the Anaheim Ducks play the New York Rangers. That's going to be fun.
Right.
Yeah.
We're fighting for the top of the league. I'll have
Yes.
I will say, go ahead, Mike.
Oh, I was just going to say, I'm happy to report that the Winnipeg Jets, after a bit of a slide, have bounced back and are back in the playoffs.
I actually wanted to talk about Winnipeg.
Okay.
Do it.
I think it would be a crime against hockey humanity if the Jets don't make the playoffs this year. Why? Not necessarily for anything that they do on the ice, but their fans.
Their fans, yeah.
Are fucking fantastic.
Oh yeah, explain that thing you posted on Facebook to me about the
All right.
who's your captain thing.
They were playing the Sharks last week.
And kicked their ass 5-2.
Right, kicked their ass. But during the week prior, the Sharks had a little dust-up between Joe Thornton and their general manager, Doug Wilson.
The Sharks are the gift that just keeps on giving.
Yeah, the Sharks, it looks like they're finally going to miss the playoffs, which is probably a good thing for them, to be honest.
Mm-hmm.
But Doug Wilson was at a season ticket holder event, and somebody asked him about why they took the captaincy from Joe Thornton last year and went to instead to having all alternates this year. They still haven't named a captain this year.
Seriously?
No, they said they were going to try to go through the first couple weeks and pick one, and they never ended up picking one.
We're at
they rode with the 4 alternate thing.
35 at this point, or whatever. Come on.
Right. And Wilson said it was something like, "Oh well, Joe just cares about the game too much, and it was a burden, and we wanted him to be free from the burdens of being a captain, or some nonsense like that."
We needed to let him fly freely.
Right. And so somebody asked Joe Thornton about it, and Joe Thornton said, "Doug needs to shut his mouth." And so when the Sharks went into Winnipeg, the Winnipeg fans, who have made several just brilliant chants over the years, when Ryan Miller first came into Winnipeg after losing the gold medal to Canada in Vancouver, the fans chanted "silver medal" at him.
Nice.
The first time Ovechkin came in, they chanted "Crosby's better."
Ooh.
And then when Tortorella was the coach of the Canucks last year, when the Canucks went to play Winnipeg, the fans tried to amp him up and started chanting Tortorella at him.
They're lucky he didn't climb the plexiglass and start beating a fan to death.
So the Sharks go into Winnipeg, and the Sharks are already down 3-1 at this point, I think. And the fans start chanting, "Who's your captain?"
Ah, okay.
And it's just glorious. I can only imagine what they could think of if they made it into a playoff race against anybody.
And just the Jets, I think they're wanting a playoff team to be there. It's their only team. The Jets have been kind of just mediocre for a while, and I want the Jets.
Damn Thrashers.
Sure, and I want them to succeed. However, for abstract reasons, my liking for the Jets has faded over the last few days. And if you must know why, I must. I was playing some NHL 14. I was drafted by the Winnipeg Jets. Things were going just splendidly for a while. We lost successive games, 7-1 and 10-1, thanks to Andrzej Pavelec looking great in goal. They then traded me to the Florida Panthers. So I was a little perturbed at the Jets for this situation. But I would like to see that wily crowd in the playoffs. That'd be really cool.
Yeah.
Plus, and we ought to be real here about the problems with the Sharks. Now, everyone wants to say, they've never pulled through, and even they've always underperformed in the playoffs. Time to go back. Time to go back to 1994. Bust the real jerseys out. Get rid of this dark teal bullshit. This orange-eyed Saturday morning cartoon shark. It's all about the old, crudely drawn whatever shark.
With the wrong hockey stick.
Yes. And I swear to God, I grew up a really, really big Sharks fan. And ever since they changed to these uniforms, I have hated them with every ounce of my being.
There was just something so awesome about that original bright shade of teal.
Oh, it's so beautiful.
It leaps off the screen.
Right, which is exactly why a team like Nashville so desperately needed to change their look to a more yellow. Because, when you wear so much damn navy, like the Kings with all their black, it just doesn't look good on a hockey rink. You need this burst of color. And not that it has anything to do with hockey at all. Because, obviously the Sharks have those jerseys that are much faster now.
Oh, yeah.
They skate so much faster.
As you know, before the season, they also declared that when we make the playoffs, we're going to wear teal this time instead of black.
Oh, good.
Too bad they're not going to make the playoffs to show everyone that.
That's a lesson in hubris, really. That collapse against Los Angeles in last year's playoffs, that is – I said it before on the show. I'm going to say it again because I love poking the San Jose Sharks because fuck that team. They are such a – that loss, that collapse is going to go down, I think, as the series of games that forever killed the franchise, or at least knocked it into
breaking.
It's a franchise breaking. It set the team into a spiral. Nobody knows how to deal with it. And now they're going to miss the playoffs. Joe Thornton doesn't know what's going on anymore. So,
well, here's the thing with Joe Thornton, though. Once they miss the playoffs, it was always assumed that it was either going to be Doug Wilson getting fired or you have to trade Thornton and Marleau. Problem: Thornton and Marleau really like playing in San Jose, where nobody gives a damn about whether they're playing badly or not because they keep showing up, and they both have no trade clauses. So Doug Wilson does not have a don't fire clause, so I think he's probably going to be fired. Coach is probably going to be fired. Even though I think McClellan's a good coach. He's probably going to go somewhere else and win a cup, but not with San Jose. But anyway, the standings real quick. Winnipeg, like we talked about, they are the last wild card currently. They're 4 points clear of the reigning Stanley Cup champion Kings. I'm just going to delight in that for the minute while they're still sitting outside. Yeah. The Kings are at 82 points. They're 2 behind Calgary. They have a game in hand on Calgary, but Calgary has the tiebreaker, and they're 4 points behind Winnipeg. So the Kings, and they have a tough road trip coming up, the Kings do. So, Kings miss the playoffs?
I hope. One can only hope.
I'm of two minds of it, though. Nothing would make me happier than for the Ducks to play the Kings in the playoffs and the Ducks beat them this time.
The Ducks have to beat them, though.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, but
it's a lot of risk.
I'm more confident this year that we should have beat them last year. It was really just 6 seconds away from beating them in Game 1, and I think that would have changed the whole thing. But then there's also the part of it would delight me to no end to see all these bandwagoners be like, what? So we're not in the playoffs this time. So what do we do now? Like these people that have just become fans over the last 2 years, they don't understand what this Kings franchise actually is. Until 3 years ago, the Kings were one of the most insignificant teams.
They were the team that, like, you'd hear that a player was traded to the Kings, and you'd be like, "Oh well, their career's over." Like,
there was very little success. There were the few years with Gretzky, and that's it.
And then you had Potvin in that. That was amazing.
Right. These Kings fans now, they don't know the trials of going through goaltender after goaltender after goaltender. They don't understand the team sucking. The team Jamie Storr, yeah. Being just completely insignificant on the hockey map. And they think that they're the best thing since sliced bread. They don't have to play the regular season. We'll just turn it on when we have to. It's fine. I want that to backfire on them because they waited too long this year. And I don't think they're that good. They have 14 overtime losses. That's the most in the Western Conference. Now they look at it, that's the most in the whole league. 14 overtime losses. And they think that they're going to turn around and win a Stanley Cup. That shit doesn't work 3 times.
But I've warned you of this every time we've brought it up. If they don't make the playoffs, slim though it might be, they still have a chance at
Connor McDavid.
Yeah. So you got to be kind of careful what you wish for. And stranger things have happened, man. But
if they sit where they are now, they're going to have the lowest shot at getting that number 1 pick.
Yeah, but we've seen it happen in the NBA where, it's like, I think it even happened in Cleveland a couple years ago where it was like, really? Yeah, but I'm just saying, I don't think it's going to happen, but you never know.
No, and if it does, then Buffalo and...
Well, poor Buffalo, but they're guaranteed at least the number 2 pick, right?
Right.
Okay,
as long as they finish last. But, they're 47 points. Arizona's at 50, and they play each other twice in the next week.
And Arizona's found ways to score on themselves now, so I don't...
Both of those teams are just going to sit there with the puck at center ice and just stare at it. Like, no, you take it.
No, by all means, no, it's yours. You go ahead. No,
the goalies, they're just going to... Because I guess finally the Buffalo fans have started to turn on the Sabres. And so they were rooting, like, when they lost the other day, people were cheering for the New Jersey Devils goals over the Sabres. And there was, like, a goal that was almost called off, but then they went to review and said it was a good goal, so the cheers went up like, yeah, good goal. All right.
Well, it's they see the bigger picture, they're actual. This is a good hockey town in Buffalo.
Oh yeah,
so
that's why they're on NBC every damn week.
But
a great hockey town and all that, but for fuck's sake, they've got 47 points and they're still getting national games. Really?
Yeah, because
is that their fault though?
No, but
they get high local ratings. It's
wow. You know what? They're the most impressive fans in hockey because they're still getting high ratings with the way this team plays this year. God.
Well, the other thing is NBC they know that Buffalo is going to give them a high rating, and so they'll schedule the Sabres against like the Kings and the Sharks. I think those are 2 games they had this year because they need to get the Eastern time zone start so that they can show the Western Conference teams.
Yeah.
And not be showing, the Rangers, Capitals, Penguins, Bruins over and over and over again, like they do. So they use Buffalo as a way to get around that. But they're down there. But also in the East, the freaking Ottawa Senators. Where'd you come from?
Hamburg.
Holy hell!
One
point out of the wild card with a game in hand on the Bruins.
Hamburglar.
You sneaky little sends you.
I just want them to get it in so that we can hear the 20-minute goal horn again. Just revel in its glory. That being said, it's sad how shallow I am about some of these teams. It's like they got a few players I like, but I can't support them simply for aesthetics reasons. These Senators' uniforms are atrocious.
They're horrible, yeah.
Their alternate is fine. The big O is fine, but honest to God, it's just their look has always been, ever since their first look has been dog shit. And now their fans are cool, and obviously the Senators have a decent base for their look, but it's just like, come on, your franchise deserves better than to wear this trash.
They're one of the few teams still wearing the Edge template.
Yes.
Still, it's still a shame that them and Pittsburgh wear the same damn jersey.
And Pittsburgh unveiled a beautiful alternate.
Yeah, that they're apparently getting rid of.
What?
Burn the whole fucking city down. If that's
apparently.
The case.
There are rumors. I want to stress that this is a rumor, but there are rumors that Sidney Crosby doesn't like the throwbacks, and so they're going to get rid of
No, you get rid of him. You keep the
take him out
throwbacks.
back and shoot him in the head.
Isn't that the same reason that they changed the Vegas gold because Mario didn't like?
Yeah, Mario didn't like the traditional gold. Yeah.
Those Penguins alternates are like they're incredible. You can't. I'm sorry.
They're untouchable.
If I were in charge of the world, I'd have to look at it and go,
Priority
do
one.
I keep Crosby or do I keep the jersey? I think I keep the jersey.
Priority one, Greg is in control of Earth. Priority one, Penguins jersey. Priority two, ISIS. Priority three.
Right. It put me in charge of the world. My first thing is to fix all the uniforms I don't like, and then we'll get to the rest of the shit after that.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
First things first.
No, they can't get rid of those. That's got to be. I'm sorry. They can't do it.
What is it with generational Penguin superstars not liking their best look?
I don't know.
You know,
Didn't Mario win 2 cups in those uniforms?
He did, yes.
That's what I thought, yeah.
It's not fair, though, because, I feel like what happens when you put uniform decisions in the hands of players is
you
always
get crap.
bad. You always get bad because players want to wear black, they want to wear lots of black, and they want to wear more black. and there's no other way around it. I don't know why. I don't know why the hell. I know black is fashionable and stuff. And we've been through this whole black for black's sake era. That time is come and gone. I just don't get the appeal. It's like, this isn't. And plus, what Oregon had a series of uniforms designed by their players with the weird numbers that kind of like sucked in, and like the metallic, like the metal kind of studded shoulder pads.
Oh yeah, those, yes.
That was all done with the council of the players, and thankfully they finally undid that shit, but they still don't look great. But I don't know. And now we're in the chrome era, I guess, the shiny era. But yeah. But yeah, so Sidney Crosby, if he doesn't like it, he can go fuck himself because this kind of, again, it's just ugly, kind of dull, not
tacky.
Very cool. Just I don't know about tacky. It's just sort of. I guess it is. But Vegas Gold, its time has come and gone. Like that was very.
Their primary uniforms suck. There's nothing good about them. I'm sorry. They're just
and they look like warm up jerseys. Just because they had like the weird this giant swatches of white on them, and it's just garish. It's like where's your cool. Where's your actual uniforms? Oh,
and we've talked about it before. That color worked on the first version of those jerseys they had because they could use the metallic fabric. Like the Ducks did when they first went to the black and gold, they had the metallic fabric.
Yeah,
but when they switched, right? But when you switch over to the edge didn't allow for that shiny fabric for whatever reason. So instead, the shiny fabric gets changed out for beige because that's what metallic gold looks like when there's no shine on it. And so the Penguins right now they look black and beige, and it's awful. And they don't have another color that they can amp up like the Ducks have done with the orange to kind of liven up the jerseys and minimize the gold. The Penguins are black, white, and beige.
I wonder what I got to think that the alternate has got to be outselling the primary.
It is
by a significant margin, right?
It's their highest selling jersey.
So why would you change that? They're not going to change that. Not just for Crosby. Fuck him. No, they won't do that. Money talks, man. That's the end of it.
Supposedly, it's not even that. The Penguins put out a thing. Somebody said that they had a losing record in them when they were actually like 5-3, 5-3-2 in the throwback jersey. So it's like, well, that's not true.
And maybe there's something more to this that we're not considering because
maybe the stripes are too heavy.
Well, no.
It does have a lot of stripes on that jersey. Yes.
Maybe they knowingly have kept these very bland, unattractive uniforms in the hopes that it will keep improving sales of. They can keep putting out these alternates that will continue to sell because the primary looks so shitty. It's like, it's like if you go to the Penguins Pro Shop and you see, there's that ugly ass main jersey. I don't want that shit. Oh my God, there's the light blue that looks amazing. The Winter Classic one. Let me grab that. Oh, there's the yellow one. That's so much better. I'm gonna buy that. So maybe that's their impetus for just constantly just puking out more alternates. Just because the primaries look so fucking awful.
But it's a shame, too, when you have the most marketable player in the league, your best player, Sidney Crosby, and he plays on aesthetically like, an awful-looking team. It's not like he plays for Toronto or the Rangers or even the Red Wings. It's like, here's a good jersey with a good player in it. Go buy that. Now you have all these stupid people that just like Crosby, and they'll buy these dog shit jerseys. So
here's the best player in the world.
These jerseys are selling well. It's like
on this
Crosby
on some mid 2000s dog shit jersey.
Right.
Yeah, it's unfortunate.
I'm looking at the alternate on their shop site right now. There's not even a comparison. I don't know how anybody that can see could look at those two jerseys and go, yeah, I like the primary better.
There are people championing the primary in the boards on the thread.
Yeah, but there are so many idiots on the boards when it comes to uniforms. It's not even funny.
You get people who see what the majority like for solid reason. Like, I'm going to be different.
No.
I mean, I understand having an alternate argument for, it's always good to have a devil's advocate and to instigate objective conversation and discussion by having an opposing opinion. That's all well and good. But when you're talking about just like, okay, you have one uniform that has colors and you have one that does not. Which one is your primary? The one that does not? You're a moron.
The primary, I mean, especially, I'm looking, there's like a side-by-side picture here, and it is so freaking bland by comparison. Mm-hmm. It's just unbelievable.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. Well, like I said, if you've got the gift of eyesight, there's no way you can look at that primary and think it's better than the alternates. Oh, there's the white throwback, too. That's nice, too. Mm-hmm. All right, anyway.
I mean, you can go by team, and there's a lot of teams that have the same problem. Like Senators, same problem. I mean, I guess you can't say the same about the Sabres. That alternate jersey needs to be set on fire and buried.
They are getting rid of it.
It is.
It's going away. That's going away. Yep.
Good. All right. Very good. Very good. Yeah. That's what I wanted to hear.
Right. So we'll be okay there.
I wasn't impressed with the Rangers alternate. They said they wore it against the Blackhawks recently. That kind of darker navy. It is what it is.
They wear it against the original 6 teams,
which is funny because it's actually not a real throwback.
Right, I know.
It's one of those weird kind of.
You would think when you're having 2 original 6 teams play each other, you want them to be in their classic looks. Yeah. But the Rangers do that, and the Bruins do that too, where they'll wear that stupid all black Bruins jersey against classic teams too, and it's like,
I've never been able to decide on the Rangers alternate. I mean, I think it's okay.
That's fine,
but I much prefer the Liberty alt. If they've got to have one, that's what they should bring back.
Well, the thing about the Rangers is that I never really saw the point of their current alternate because it's not actually a real throwback, and 2, the Rangers' current uniforms are retro. Like, they are retro. Because they haven't changed them in forever.
They're timeless is a more
I would say flawless, but I'm biased in that respect. But I think they're.
But the point is that when you have classic uniforms like the Rangers do, you don't need to go super retro with your throwbacks because that's what you've got for your primaries.
Right.
What was great about the Lady Liberty jersey was that the team wore their classic look most of the time, but every now and then they did something a bit modern, and it worked.
Yeah,
I'm sorry. I'm going over some of the NHL shop stuff here.
Yeah, see, look what I've started here.
I think. Well, it's basically a logo show today. You got it. I think we can all agree that in addition to the Sharks being a laughably bad team, their Stadium Series uniform is probably one of the worst things to ever touch the ice.
I don't know. I don't understand how the Sharks could have worn that. I mean, those giant stripes must have weighed them down.
Plus, that black on the bottom's just got to be really heavy, wouldn't you think?
It makes them look like, because I believe they wear that with black shorts. It makes them look like they're wearing really high worn pants.
Grandpa pants.
Yeah, right up to their tits. And
perfect.
It looks just laughably bad, especially next to they have like the King's yellow with the giant crown. Like that looks pretty damn slick. Mm-hmm. Unfortunately, the Lightning have the awful Bolts black uniform, black and purple.
You mean the King's uniform?
What's that?
It's the King's jersey, just with bolts on the front.
Well, yeah, basically, more or less. But but at least the Kings uniform has no purple in it whatsoever.
No, it's not. They don't have any blue on that. That's just black and white.
The Bolts jersey?
Who are we talking about? Tampa Bay or L.A.?
The Bolts, the alternate, the Lightning, the Tampa Bay Lightning's alternate Bolts uniform.
One that they're wearing this season.
Okay. Well, I saw this one apparently is replica as last year. Okay, yeah, so they ditched the blue collar.
Yeah.
Okay, my mistake.
Yeah.
But another thing I was pondering here, I've had a mixed feelings for my entire life for the New Jersey Devils.
Yeah,
they have a cool logo, and I think their look is pretty cool. But it just always comes off
the green.
It's got to have that green, man.
I don't mind the green, but not to the extent they used to have it. I say throw it in there as like a highlight or something, but I'm not.
Well,
I mean, I'd be okay with it, but
full on green. like they need to have that kind of grayish, understated green that's like not poppy
Kelly green, but it's kind of darkish.
Yeah, I mean, unfortunately, the fucking Wild have sort of bogarted that look.
I don't know. They seem content to be just like green and off-white.
That's fine, and they should keep that and have red be kind of a little tiny blip on there just to kind of give it a little bit of flavor. But the red primary for the Wild needs to just go and never be seen again. But anyway, sorry, we have now gone balls deep in uniform conversation.
Good.
And I fucked up. I went to the Islanders page in the black alternate.
They're going to be getting another black alternate to tie in if they're moved to Brooklyn soon. So
Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
I saw the layout for that arena, by the way, for hockey. It looks like it will not work.
They've known that all along. It's not going to work for hockey.
It's been talked about.
It's kind of just sad. I don't know.
And apparently, it could have been the original specs had the Barclays Center built for hockey with hockey in mind, but they changed it so they could have a more intimate basketball experience.
Speaking of,
and they wanted to save money by not making it a hockey arena.
And now they're going to have to spend that money.
Expensive.
So how many seats are screwed up because of with the hockey layout? Because
I think the hockey layout. I think the normal layout is like 17,000.
Right.
And when they do hockey, I think it's only 14 or 15.
I'd say like a fourth of the arena is basically just cut off. Like,
yeah,
it's weird.
They're not going to sell tickets directly behind the goal because you can't see the net because it's too close.
Yeah.
Well, you can put like a red light or something up on the rows so that even though you can't see the net, be like, oh, they must have scored because the lights are going. I don't know. Speaking of what?
I was going to say, speaking of Brooklyn and kind of uniforms a little bit, so obviously the NBA trade deadline has come and gone a while back, but I was...
NBA what?
NBA.
What is...
NBA. They play basketball.
I've heard of this.
Greg, do you know about this?
I've heard of it. Isn't that thing where we sit...
Me the North?
When we guess numbers or something like that? I know we've talked about it before. Where we go, who's this guy? Oh, that's right, yeah. I will say, though, really quick, I bought a used copy of NBA 2K14. That is the best fucking basketball game ever.
Oh, yeah.
It's awesome.
Hands down. NBA 2K has mastered basketball. Their baseball is a fucking disaster. But basketball, absolutely masterfully done.
And I got NHL 14, too, which is pretty cool. But I'm still trying to get like just the right mix where I don't score just all I got to do is kind of come around the goal and knock it in. And
you got to tune it up a little bit.
Yeah, I got to tune it up. But, man, that's really good, too.
Can you play in that NBA game? Can you play as Bill Clinton dunking a flaming basketball?
No.
No,
but not the best basketball game of all time.
You can get NBA Jam HD, though. That is currently out.
Okay.
That is actually a ton of fun.
Okay.
I think it's like $5.
I love the Raptors in those games, the NBA Jam.
Oh yeah, McGrady, Vince Carter. I would always be in the newer versions anyway. In the early days of NBA Jam, I think they had like
it was like Stoudemire and some.
It was no. It was shit. Who was it? Used to play for the Pacers. Antonio something.
Wasn't it? No, it wasn't Brown, was it?
No.
Davis.
Antonio Davis.
Yeah, Davis. Yeah.
Antonio Davis and Dale Davis used to both play for the Pacers.
Right, exactly.
Okay, so NBA. The reason I was bringing this up. So Kevin Garnett gets traded back to Minnesota. Big, exciting stuff. Well, sort of big and exciting. It's kind of a novelty thing, but I was excited for it because I'm like, oh, that's cool. Garnett going back to Minnesota, very cool. And then I watched some highlights and I was like, oh, he's wearing those uniforms like the new ones. And it just makes me so sad because I remember him wearing like the ones that had like the trees on the collars and sleeves.
Fucking spiky timber.
Yeah, I remember those. Yeah.
Now they're just kind of, they're okay, but they just look like just plain blah, blue and gray as shit.
Well, I have no idea why they took the green out of it. They're like, nah, we don't want green.
I don't know. And what infuriates me is that, we're just three guys. There's four guys rather having a conversation. I don't know. I said what came out of my mouth. I'm like, no, that's totally wrong. But it was four guys, just sort of enthusiasts sitting around just talking uniforms and stuff. There was a incredibly expensive council of people, an entire marketing team that got together to decide the look of the Minnesota Timberwolves and whoever else, the Pittsburgh Penguins and all this stuff. And just how much money and how many man hours are put into making these teams look so shitty.
Yeah.
And
I
maybe
imagine in the Penguins case, it was Mario Lemieux like making insane dictates from on high, and like everyone on the corporate side just had to carry it out.
See, I've always thought that when you get a bunch of people involved in making a uniform, what you get is like a camel, like a horse by committee.
Yeah.
You take all it's like bits and pieces that you try to throw together and make a workable final product out of it, and it never pleases anyone.
Exactly. I mean, look at the Edmonton Oilers. They were suffering from the same problem. They were in that all Navy piece of garbage.
Yeah.
And
the copper era.
The copper era, but it just looked terrible. And then when they got new uniforms, they didn't go for a new look. They didn't form a design committee to try to fix it. They just said, "Hey, we're going to go back to our old uniforms." It was probably one guy's decision. They made it, and they look great now.
I think so. Yeah.
There's certain teams that have the luxury of going, you know what, guys, this is absolutely how we should look. What are we doing here? Mm-hmm. And the Penguins need to be one of those teams. Mm-hmm. And there's plenty of, the Oilers, for as awful routinely as they are, they have an obligation to the hockey world to not look like that ever again. They should always look one way. And what's frustrating about this is I love those Oilers uniforms. The Islanders, I feel like those are one of those teams that they could use. They could go so many different ways and be better. Mm-hmm. I've never liked their look ever. Even those are the ones they won all the cups in. Well, I don't give a shit. It looks terrible.
But they're so similar to Edmonton. That surprises me that you would like one and not the other. I love the Islanders uniforms. That's just me.
Their stripes are too thick, and it just I feel like because they're basically cut from the same cloth, the same colors and all this stuff, basically. And the Oilers simply do it better. And the
Oilers have the thinner
I will agree
stripes.
with that. Yeah,
the Oilers have the thinner stripes, and I'd say that the Oilers pull it off of a better logo. Like,
yes,
the Islanders logo. The Islanders logo. I like traditional stuff, and it definitely has its own charm to it. But if we're being objective about it, the Islanders logo is kind of bad.
It is what it is, and it's something that I think that by there's not really a better option. There's not you can't really, and plus if you changed it, if you like completely overhauled it, the fans would be outraged.
Well, they tried that once, and we all saw what happened.
The same thing. Yeah, I just watched that 30 for 30 when the Islanders got bought by the wrong guy.
Yeah,
the guy who had no money.
Yeah, the total liar, the fraud, and they actually I think during his tenure was when they had those awful uniforms. I think anyway, but yeah, so there's several teams that need to just cut the bullshit. Go back to do the right thing. Again, it comes down to doing the right thing. And the Pittsburgh Penguins are one of those teams. Stop. This isn't funny. It was a nice joke at first. Ha ha. Look at the Penguins looking so terrible. Now it's kind of like, okay, you know what you should be doing. Go back to the traditional gold and black and be done with it. But it's Pittsburgh colors.
They introduced.
I agree. Go ahead.
They introduced those uniforms, and you'd think that they introduced it. They see all the fans buying it. They're going to slowly phase it in over time, but it's just for some reason. And hope again, all the stuff about Crosby not liking it. It's a rumor. I really hope it's unfounded, but Pittsburgh Stars making really bad uniform decisions is nothing new.
Here's the thing. Let's say that for a second that, if he doesn't like it, all right, is it a deal breaker? I mean, would he really say, you know what, I'm not going to play here because of the jerseys? Because if that's not the case, then I say screw him. Too bad.
He's being paid enough money to just wear whatever they damn well tell him to wear.
I can't imagine from a wearing it standpoint that they would feel significantly different. It's got to be all about the looks, right?
I don't know. Again, those jerseys have a lot of thick, heavy stripes.
That's true. So there's a lot of black, and that gold's probably going to weigh down your arms and shit. Yeah, absolutely.
Silly shit. Well, I apologize, sort of, for utterly derailing this program into hardcore logos mode.
Oh, I can't speak for my esteemed colleagues here, but I love talking uniforms, so I'm fine with it.
It's kind of like we all joined a community to discuss those things.
Yeah.
Strangely how it goes. But anyway.
I'm on the NBA's jersey site right now, and there are so many cool jerseys that I would love to have, but the thing is I'd never wear them. Like there's the old New York Nets jersey, but anyway.
I feel like the NBA uniforms have become unfortunately relegated to being worn by like big fat dudes,
yeah,
on like hot summer days, like without an undershirt. profusely sweating all over those, and it's just like ew.
Yeah.
And they always have like a big, like ugly, gaudy, like mama tattoo or something, or like it's, I don't know. I just feel like I see like smoking a cigarette out like by like a 7-Eleven. It's like, dude, put on an undershirt. Like that jersey probably cost you like $50 or more, and you're just sweating balls all over it. I don't know. Anyway.
Yeah.
I digress. So.
All right. I hate to do this, but I have to cut it kind of short this week, guys, and I think Andy's got to go too, right?
Yeah, I got to hit the road. Yeah,
I had some cool tabs this week, but I guess we're not going to get to them again. So.
We'll have to wait, I guess.
No,
I'm sorry.
It's all right.
You know what? It's like the first time in like 58 shows that we didn't get to the tabs. So
no, we didn't get to them like 3 weeks ago.
Yeah, we did.
That's fine.
We've done tabs I know we have because I have to sit and put all the little effects and stuff into them all the time. I would have noticed had we not done them.
It's fine, guys. It's fine.
Because I love adding all the stuff to the tabs.
It's fine. I just want.
Yeah, it's fine. It's fine. I'm just never going to do the show again.
I'll just make my own podcast.
All right. Okay. Anyway, any final thoughts, guys?
Go Jets.
Yes.
Go salsa.
That too.
Do the right thing. Vote wisely. Take your time.
Yes,
think about
please.
your votes in the glorious tournament. Let's make this an exciting, whatever. What'd you call it, Mike? The 8?
The egregious 8.
The egregious
8.
Yes.
Let's get a really solid egregious 8 going. So vote wisely, vote well, vote often.
Exactly. All right. That's going to do it. Follow us on Twitter at Basically Sports. Go to the website, basicallysportshow.com. Vote in the glorious tournament of victory, blah, 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 all the other good stuff. iTunes, Stitcher, and YouTube. And Mike, you want to plug the Geek Show real quick?
Basically a geek show. We're actually going to be recording our newest episode right after I'm done here. So
okay, cool. All right, then.
And also, me and Mike and Jack will be doing the Basically a Wrestling Show special this Friday and next Friday. They'll probably be released either Friday night or on Saturday the next day. So look
pre and post WrestleManias.
Correct.
So you can see all of our hopes and dreams for a fantastic show. You know,
be shattered.
Shattered. Bye.
Yes.
And stay tuned in the coming months for basically a Zach show. I go solo, so I can do what I want all the time.
All tabs, all day.
All right, so with that, we're going to call it a night. We'll see you all next time.
Bye, guys.
Bye.
Please hang up and try again.